We've all felt now and then that we've paid a little bit too much for that bottle of wine, but how about £75,000?
75,000, you heard it right. That's exactly how much a private collector has spent on a bottle of white wine, making it the most expensive white wine bottle ever to be sold. 200-year-old bottle from Château d'Yquem was bought by a French collector. And here is the man who sold that bottle, Stephen Williams, Managing Director of the Antique Wine Company, and also Jake Crimmin, Head Sommelier at the Gaucho Restaurants. Thank you both very much for joining us. First of all, Stephen, before we do anything else, I always heard that red wine was where the money was and that white wine was seen by sort of connoisseurs as a bit of frippery.
Well, certain white wines are truly outstanding and capable of lasting longer than than most red wines, in fact. And of them all, the king is Château d'Yquem. And this particular bottle in this transaction is a bottle of 1811, 200 years old, Château d'Yquem.
What is so special about the Château d'Yquem? What makes it so great?
Well, really, it's its potential for tremendous longevity. And in this case, it's outlived most people's lifetime by double. And that's achieved by making the wine in a specific way. Instead of picking bunches of grapes with a machine, for example, at Château d'Yquem, they pick individual berries and go through the vineyard day after day for probably 2 months in this intensely selective harvest. And so the berries that are chosen are almost shriveled up like raisins, so the grape juice is then super concentrated, and that's what gives it this tremendous longevity.
Jake, you are the sommelier, of course, the profession that we all see, and it's very often sort of parodied, this sort of swirling of the wine and these little silver cups, massive amounts of celebrity now given to you. How do we as punters know the difference between good wine, mediocre wine and outstanding wine?
I think there's certain things that you look out for when you're trying a wine and you're trying to gauge how expensive it is. But mostly the concentration, and that can be measured through how many layers you can smell there, how many things are going on in the glass, and when it comes to drinking the wine, how long is that taste finishing for? How long is it going on in your mouth for? And providing it's a pleasant taste, obviously. This all helps.
Do you have to be very well trained, Jake, to be able to tell a good wine? I mean, do you have to develop your palate over time?
It's practice. It's like anything. It's honing your senses, building up a memory bank of smells and tastes, which after practice you can bring to the fore very quickly.
Now, the more observant among you may have noticed that ahead of us are 2 wine glasses ahead of each person. Rachel and I know nothing about this. Stephen and Jake know everything about this. Which one of you would like to say? I can already see one of them is rather golden colour. One of them is rather a colour of a, well, I don't know.
Slightly darker colour, isn't it?
Well, sort of, I put that as a kind of Pinot Grigio colour, and that as something like a slightly diluted malt whiskey kind of colour. So what do I read into that, Jake? Well, you're the sommelier.
Well, I'm not going to tell you straight away because that would be giving it away quite blatantly. But if you take that rule of thumb of how much you can smell in the glass and how much you can taste, if you're allowed to taste it.
Yeah. Well, so what have we actually got in these 2?
They're both dessert wines,
right?
Sweet wines from France. Not a million miles away from each other, made from the same grape varieties. I'll give you a bit of a clue. There is 17 years between the vintages out of these 2.
And are we talking 2 very different pricing brackets for these wines?
2 very different price points.
Okay,
yeah.
How much?
One would cost £9.50 a bottle,
okay,
and the other one would
reasonable.
cost
about 900.
Wow. Are you sure you actually want to share this with both of us who know nothing about wine?
He bought the latter, by the way. I got off to the £9.50 bottle.
What was the £9.50? I thought the other one was £2.99. I didn't realise it was going to be... Right, so one of these is from a bottle that costs nearly £1,000, and one is
Which
not.
are we going for first?
Well, remember that
remember
that what we're looking for is concentration in every respect, both in terms of the appearance of the wine, so which, in your opinion, looks the most dense. We're looking for concentration of aroma, and then we're really looking for power and concentration on the palate, and evenness, and the texture of the wine, of the more valuable wine, should be far more intense. And most important of all is the aftertaste. The wine should leave a long, sweet finish that goes on and on and on for a very long time.
Okay. Which one should we start with?
The left.
Yes. And is there a special way to do this? We need to swirl.
You can
Yeah.
if you like. Yeah, the easiest way if you're worried about soaking Adam over there
Yeah,
is just
a
to draw
little
a
bit.
circle, like
like
as you
this.
would do a pencil there. There you go.
Okay. And do we take a sniff?
Yeah. The sniff is for free.
Very palatable, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to sit and drink that for the next hour or so.
Would you like to present the news? Okay. So that was very pleasant.
Okay. And this second one, this is the one that looks a bit darker and richer. All those things that you were saying, perhaps in the more expensive wine, which are the clues to me.
Is he trying to trick us?
Yeah,
Exactly.
instead of red herring.
It smells a lot stronger as well.
Do you know, it's very nice. It is a very different sort of aroma, taste, isn't it? This one is much richer, as you said. It's almost a sort of cross between a wine, almost towards a malty whiskey sort of
It's
taste.
got a more syrupy texture to it as well, and a slightly milder flavour, I would say.
But what we're really looking for is both power and for that power to be harnessed by balance.
And more things in the wine. I mean, you could see both of you then were saying more about the second wine than your first wine. I think you've pretty much nailed which one's which.
Without doubt. Jake, it was you that said it's the after effect, it's how long it lingers. This one lingers on the palate. I'm going to throw that word in to sound as much longer
well.
than this one. So
I'm just going to take another sip of this one then.
I
Are we
think you should
saying
take
that
it.
this is the very, very expensive one?
Are you?
I'm going to vote for this one.
I'm voting for this one.
I think you seem quite set in that.
Stephen?
Well, I think we're pretty united in that decision that yes, it
I
is the
feel I should
right-hand
take
wine.
another
It's the
sip.
Chateau
Reveal.
d'Yquem.
Here we go.
We revealed, so
So this is the first one was the Chateau of Bellegarde, which is £9.50 from a well-known department store in Piccadilly. This is the Chateau d'Yquem that Stephen brought in,
Wow.
which is 950, is it?
Yes,
50, yeah.
Chateau d'Yquem 1990. So this is the same chateau that's produced the 1811 bottle that's been sold today. But of course the difference is that this is the 1990 vintage, so it's rather more readily available than the bottle of 1811, of which we think there were probably less than 12 bottles remaining in the world.
and will this man, this lucky man who spent £75,000, instead of an Aston Martin, he's bought a bottle of wine, will he open it?
Well, it wasn't a surprise to me when I decided to put this bottle of wine on the market 6 months ago that the buyer was Christian Veneke from Bali in Indonesia, because he's no wine amateur. He's a professional. He owns a restaurant. He has the biggest wine collection in Indonesia. So he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think perhaps there is a very good chance that he is likely to open it at some time in the future.
And will it taste nice? Jake? What's the betting?
I'd certainly hope so. But apparently a renowned wine critic, Robert Parker, gave it its maximum points, 100 points, when he tasted it back in '96. So according to the experts, it's worth its weight in gold. Well, a bit more.
And Stephen, how do you transport a bottle of wine that's worth that amount of money? How do you store it and just make sure that some idiot like me doesn't come along and knock it over just as it's been opened?
Well, there have been accidents from time to time, but yeah, he's taking it back in a very well-packed suitcase on an airline to Singapore tomorrow morning. So, and it's of course properly insured just in case.
And put this in a little bit of context for us. This is white wine, admittedly outstanding white wine, but red wine, the most expensive bottle of red wine is even more expensive.
Yes, there have been higher prices achieved with red wine, but not red wines that are so old as this.
Right.
Because red wine generally dries itself out after about sort of 80 or 90 years, whereas these sweet white wines from Chateau d'Yquem in particular have got the capability of lasting longer than that. And you know, when he does open this bottle of wine, if he opens it, I mean, it's a tremendously nostalgic experience to think that, well, these grapes were being picked at the same time as before the electric light bulb was invented. Beethoven and Mozart were the top of the hit parade at that time. I mean, it's really a tremendously nostalgic experience, and one to remember for the rest of one's life, no doubt.
And just finally, Jake, in terms of us ordinary folk, those who can't afford £75,000 for a very good bottle of wine, what sort of things should we be looking out for when you're staring at the supermarket shelf at the myriad of wines there are available? What's the way to choose a good one?
I think go with what you like, keep a note of what you like, but more importantly, spend at least £8 on a bottle. little. When you're spending £6 on a bottle of wine, £4.50 plus is being chewed up by duty and tax. So you're not getting much wine for your money when you're spending that much.
Okay, Stephen, Jake, thank you very much. I take it you're leaving the glasses with us.
Well, let's toast Darren Bett, who is about to bring us some outstanding weather news, and to all of those who have spent £75,000 on a bottle of wine, good luck. Darren, what's in store for the weather?